everyone, welcome to So What? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a great day so far. Today we're going to be going over a bunch of great projects that you can create for Valentine's Day or for any day that necessitates chocolate, right? So that could be every day. I have a lot of things to talk about. First off, we are having our first free webcast of 2021. It is coming up on February 9th, and I'm so happy to tell you that our special guest is Julie Trieb of Designs by Juju. And I know how much you guys love Designs by Juju because every time that I feature a project with one of her designs, you just go crazy for it. And I have been working with her designs for many, many years. She does great in the hoop projects, really, really cute sort of freestanding designs. She has come out with freestanding lace now on her site. So there are just a number of great options. She's really got a lot of font collections on her site, and that's really what got me interested in Designs by Juju, because I was looking for sort of non-traditional fonts, not super scripty, kind of fun, handwritten looking fonts, and she's just got a really great selection on her site. So that's where I really got to know Julie. And actually I have a funny story. Back in the day, this was when Martha Stewart was coming out and endorsing sewing machines. She was endorsing Husqvarna Viking, and I happened to be at the convention where SVP, which is Singer, Viking, and Pfaff, where they were sort of introducing Martha as their spokesperson. And yes, this was pre-jail and all that stuff. But at any rate, I got an opportunity to interview Martha Stewart during this event. So I jumped on it and I thought, I really want to make an impression. So I'm going to make Martha Stewart a little project, something for her to remember me by. And actually, she was so flattered, she took a picture of it and she posted this picture of me and her and the little project on her blog. And it was like big moment for me. It was so awesome. So anyway, I made a freestanding ornament because it was around the time, or it was going to be the holidays, I want to say. And I went to the Designs by Juju site and I got a freestanding letter and I made her an ornament that was all machine embroidery and it was a pretty M. So that began my love of Designs by Juju. And I've known Julie for a long time, so I'm really glad that I was able to, with the help of everyone at Sulky, to get her to do a cute project for us. So we're going to be putting together a Keepsake Key Fob. It's an in the hoop project, and we're going to be working with vinyl fabric. So machine embroidery on vinyl. You're going to learn how easy that can be. And we're going to make some cute little key fobs. We've got kits available, of course. The vinyl is included. It's like a marine vinyl, kind of. You'll get sparkly vinyl, which is really fun, and then a couple of other colors. All the threads that go along with it, all the little D-rings and snaps and all that stuff to make your own key fobs. And Julie has digitized a brand new font collection. It's a monogram collection that fits the key fob shape perfectly. So we're going to learn all kinds of things about how to create lettering that is readable and beautiful. Sometimes when we get really small with our letters, we start to lose the definition of them. So Julie's going to tell us all the tips and techniques we need for mastering that. And then we'll also learn how to put the key fob together And we're also going to learn some tips about using embroidery software. So it's going to be jam-packed, full of information. And you know what? I feel like, let me just make sure that I put the link for the webcast in the description of today's post, because there are so many links I had to include today, and I want to make sure to do that. Also, I'm going to grab an image of these key fobs so you all can see. Again, I tried to include that as well today. And of course, you know, the day gets away from me. I try to remember everything, but I want you guys to see just how cute these are. And again, this is a free webcast. So if you have done our video casts in the past, we just had one last week with MJ Kinman, then you're familiar with our new education platform. If you're not familiar, head on over to sewingonline.sulky.com, sewingonline.sulky.com. Oh my gosh, whew, it's been a morning already. It's only 10 o'clock here in Colorado. Head on over to the Sewing Online education site, and you can check out the free webcast and all of our previous legacy webinars and our video casts as well. So sorry, I'm just kind of sifting through some pictures so that I find the right one. I should have had this loaded in here already. So bear with me here for just a moment. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. There we go. Look how cute these are. So this is what we're going to learn in our free webcast. And you can make a bunch of these. The kit is going to include enough materials to make 6. And if you get some extra D-rings and snaps, you'll be able to make even more. Depending on how big of a hoop you have, you can do these in, you know, less hoopings and really, you know, make some great gifts. This would be great for Valentine's Day. So if you grab your kit now and have it on hand, you don't really need it on hand because this isn't a traditional sew along. So if you don't get it in time, that's no big deal. But look at those snaps. The snaps are in shapes of little hearts. So these would really be really cute Valentine Day little gifties for your friends, for your family. And you can personalize them any which way, choosing from the different threads that are in the kit. So yeah, I think everybody's really going to love this. So secure your spot, register today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, that'll be February 9th. So we've got a little while, but just make sure that you register, grab your kit. It's going to be a good time. So I wanted to make sure to address that first thing. And let me know if you're familiar with Designs by Juju. We got a lot of thumbs up and a lot of hearts. And, oh, Debbie is asking, can you zoom in on the snap? Sure. Let me bring this up again and make it as big as I can. There you can see the little heart-shaped snap. Isn't that adorable? Just adds a little something special to it. Now you can really see that beautiful monogram that Julie designed. You could see one of the threads included is a blendable thread. And so you just can see all the different looks you can get by mixing and matching those threads and really personalizing it. All right. So speaking of engaging with the post and liking and loving and commenting and asking your questions, for all of you doing that today, we have a great giveaway. Our giveaway today, speaking of Valentine's Day, is our I Heart You machine embroidery palette. This is valued at $39.99. It comes with 10 spools of thread, and as you can see, there's a metallic in there. There's a bunch of rayons. These also come with 7 embroidery designs. So this pretty scroll heart collection is there along with your thread. You'll have all the colors that you need to kind of mix and match, make red hearts, pink hearts, purple hearts, all kinds of hearts for your Valentine's Day projects. So this is our giveaway today for all of you liking, sharing, engaging with the post, and all of that good stuff. So I wanted to also share with you another, oh, hold on a sec. Gotta show you this. So I made this using that machine embroidery palette, the I Heart You machine embroidery palette. This is one of the hearts. You could see it's kind of a large scale design and really, really pretty. I just did it on a tea towel. And then I trimmed the tea towel with some fabric and some little ribbon that I found. This ribbon has little roses on it, so I thought it was perfect for a little bit of Valentine's Day decor. So a tea towel is something really simple you can do to just kind of bring a little bit of Valentine's Day in for the season without going too crazy about it. It also makes a great gift as well. So when you're giving out that box of chocolates, wrap it up with a tea towel and give a little bit of homemade to the gift. Okay, so as I was talking about curated threads that we have created to help you just have all the colors that you need on hand for holidays like Valentine's Day, we put together an ultimate Valentine Polystar pack of thread. Now, for all of you who were at our webcast last week with MJ Kinman, you might have gotten a little bit confused because we have a thread pack that's called the Precious Gems 6-pack of Polystar thread. I've been talking about Polystar for a long time now. It is our, it would help if I had my microphone. Maybe you can hear me a little bit better now. Sorry about that. The Precious Gems Polystar 6-pack was included with the MJ Kinman kit from last week. You may have noticed that we started calling it Poly Sparkle. Now, or we could just call it the Sulky Sparkle thread, right? So these terms are kind of interchangeable. You may know it as Polystar. You may hear us refer to it as Sparkle. I know it's a little bit confusing, but at any rate, these are 12 thread spools that are all in those sort of Valentine's Day shades. You have your reds, pinks, burgundies, peaches. All of them have glittery sparkles running through the polyester thread. So they are great for machine embroidery, top stitching, quilting. I absolutely love this thread. It's a 30 weight thread, so you need to use a 90-14 needle. And when I'm doing embroidery with this thread, I like to use a 90-14 top stitch needle. You can also use a metallic needle, or we have organ needles, so they're called metal needles. Same diff. All right, so I wanted to share with you a project that I made with this Ultimate Valentine Polystar thread pack. And it is this great little table runner. Super easy to construct, nothing complicated. It's great for beginners. Even if you are a beginner with machine embroidery, this looks super impressive. And it's no more work than you would do with a simpler design. The only thing about it is that it just takes a little bit longer to stitch out, but you're doing the exact same technique that you would do if you chose a simpler or smaller design. So I like to pair a more involved embroidery design with a very simply constructed project so that it's very accessible for beginners or the like. Now, if you want to get more creative with this and do pieced panels on either side and add a bunch more fabrics into it, by all means, take your liberties. But I am giving just a very basic table runner with, showing a couple different fabrics. It doesn't even have binding, okay? I did kind of a faux binding technique of sorts. And by that, I mean, I basically constructed this like a pillowcase. All right, so once I was done piecing the front, I put the backing on, left a little opening to turn it right side out, hand sewed my opening shut, and then I did about a 1/2 inch of top stitching around the entire thing. So it almost looks like there's binding on it, but there's not. And yes, there is batting in between here as well. So super basic construction. I will go over it with you now. And if you want all the dimensions of the fabric that I used, and the entire step-by-step construction, you can go to the description of today's post, and I linked to our blog post where I've outlined all of that along with the supply list. Also, you'll want to head over there anyway because we're offering this design for free for a limited time. So you can grab this design file in the format of your choice. You can see it's a very, very large scale design. And it's actually like a cross stitch embroidery design. Can you see that? And you can see that Polystar is so sparkly. And it says chocolate is a girl's best friend. And then there's all kinds of words that kind of describe chocolate. Hazelnut, syrup, cocoa, donuts, fudge. So really, really cute. And I thought it was perfect for Valentine's Day. But yes, you can grab the design files through the link in the blog post, which is in the description of the post for this live feed today. And there's a ton of different sizes. So if you don't have a big old hoop that will support the size that I chose for the table runner, just create a smaller one. Make a little mug rug. Stitch it out a couple of different times and put it along the side panels. So there are a lot of options. If you have a smaller hoop, just grab the smallest design file. And I think you all will really enjoy it. And it works with Polystar. You could also use Sulky Poly Deco or that Sulky Rayon I Heart You palette, which I was just showing as our gifty today. So, all right. So I'm going to go through the photos for how I put this table runner together. But there have been a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to try to keep up with them. So let's address some of them here. I appreciate you all saying hi. Leslie is asking, can it be done in a 5x7 hoop? And yes, so there are at least 8 sizes of this design, and you'll just need to grab the one for your 5x7 hoop. Probably the smallest or the next to smallest one. And they all have numbers, so you'll know the higher the number, the larger the design, because they're kind of sized for like cross stitch counts. Okay. Karen's asking, how do we get the free designs? So go to the blog post link, which is in the description of this live feed post today. You might have to click the little button that says see more. Once you do that, you'll see links for everything I'm going to talk about today. And one of those links says Table Runner How-Tos. Okay, so you will find that there. Okay. Yes, loving the sparkles. So fantastic. Lots of you using the Polystar and loving it. And that's why I keep talking about it. You know, you've probably just heard me say Polystar over and over and over and over again, but I really love working with it. I like to use metallic thread a lot. Sulky has so many metallic threads, the original metallic, the sliver metallic, hollow shimmer metallic, and now the Polystar. Now with sliver and hollow shimmer, those are flat threads, okay? So those are the ones that are going to require some machine adjustments in order to use them so that they don't twist when they come out of the needle when you're sewing. So all those twists will build up and up and up as you're sewing, especially if you're sewing at a high speed, like machine embroidery. All of those twists are going to ultimately create too much tension and start causing problems when you're sewing. So you have to be really mindful of that. We have a lot of tutorials on the Sulky blog for how to work with those flat threads and how to have success with them. So what I love about Polystar is you can really treat it like a traditional polyester thread and it performs beautifully. I have heard with some people they slow their machine down still. By all means, especially with high-speed machine embroidery, slow it down a couple of notches just to make sure that everything is going to flow smoothly through your needle. And again, 90-14 needle with that 30 weight thread, and you'll have success. So make sure to use a brand new needle. This is a really large design. I would use one needle at the start, embroider that entire heart design, and get rid of the needle, okay? Because this is a very high stitch count. I think there were, I want to say 70,000 stitches in this design. So a lot. Okay. Let's see, Linda says, do you use a metallic needle for the metallic thread? So, like I said, I use a top stitch needle for this Polystar, but you can also use an organ metal needle. That's what we call them, metal, but synonymous with a metallic needle. You can also use that as well. I just like the top stitch needle better because it's a little bit skinnier, and especially when I'm working with something like a quilting cotton, I want the smallest hole created by that needle so that, you know, I don't have too much room for that thread to groove in the hole, if that makes sense. Pamela is saying, could you put this design on a t-shirt? Absolutely. It would be a great design for a t-shirt because there's not a lot of fill stitches. Now, I will say when you're embroidering with the 30 weight Polystar thread, you need to be mindful of the design that you choose. Now, this design was digitized for a 40 weight thread, but it works with the 30 weight because it's all those cross stitches. It's not a bunch of satin stitch fill stitches where that 30 weight thread would occupy too much space and your design would end up being really dense. But with these cross stitches, there's a lot of just kind of like running stitches or line art stitches, as well as these a little bit heavier cross stitches. They actually worked beautifully with the 30 weight thread because they're really just crossing over that X 2 times. And if that were a bunch of satin stitches stacked on each other to create that same sort of space that the X did, that 30 weight thread would be too heavy because the design was digitized for 40 weight. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Joanne says, what happens if you cannot slow the speed down on your machine? That's a great question. If you cannot slow the machine down, there may be a way where you can manually, like, use your foot pedal perhaps for the machine embroidery and then kind of control the speed that way. Tell me if I'm wrong. Has anyone out there tried that? I don't know if that is even a possibility, but that's the first thing that came to mind. I would contact the machine manufacturer, go on their website. There's probably a place where you can email them or even a live chat perhaps, and ask them. Say, hey, I cannot control the speed of this. How would I best sew with metallic threads? That would be my first guess and my recommendation. But if anybody else has any other knowledge to share, please put it in the chat so we can all help each other out here. That's what this So What is really about too, is all of us coming together and giving each other some great ideas. So, okay. Let's go on to, people are asking about what is the best stabilizer for putting this on a t-shirt. So for t-shirt knits, we recommend a cutaway stabilizer because you want to have the stability over time. You want a stabilizer that's going to stay with the project. So a soft and sheer extra would probably work great on a t-shirt. You're going to fuse that to the wrong side of your t-shirt, do your embroidery. Also, what I like to use for t-shirts is Sulky Tender Touch. and you're going to apply that after embroidery is complete. You will fuse that to the wrong side of your stitch out, and that way when you're wearing the shirt, you don't have this scratchy embroidery touching your skin. And you might see, I've seen Tender Touch or the like on a lot of store-bought t-shirts, even that have just like a little embroidered logo on them. You'll see that that's covered up. It's the same product as the Sulky Tender Touch. So I really recommend that for t-shirts, anything that's going to be close to your skin. If you do like embroidery on onesies, that is really essential because you don't want anything scratchy or any thread tails to be contained, especially against a baby's skin. So that's really great. Okay, so let's go through our cute little table runner, and you can see I chose just a few of the threads from the Valentine thread palette because there's 12 threads in that palette, and you don't need that many for this design, but you can certainly swap out threads and just have fun with it because it's a chocolate design and you can choose, you know, the burgundies, the dark reds, the pinks, all of that go nicely together. So first things first, we're going to apply our stabilizer. And speaking of Soft and Sheer Extra, that is what I used on the wrong side of my cotton fabric for embroidery. And I cut a piece that was as big as the entire center panel of the table runner, and it's still attached. So that is going to give me really good wearability or washability over time. It's going to stay with the table runner. If this were a wall hanging, it would give me extra stability so that it didn't sag when I was hanging it, that type of thing. So Soft and Sheer Extra, it's a fusible, lightweight stabilizer that is a cutaway, essentially. You're going to keep it with the fabric. All right. And then just begin the embroidery. And you can see here that sparkle is really evident in this great photo. So you just begin the embroidery, and like I said, assign the colors how you want to. You can definitely follow the intended rayon thread chart for this design, or you can deviate and put a little bit of Polystar in there, maybe for the chocolate is a girl's best friend words, and then the rest of it is rayon. So just have fun with it. There's no rule that says you have to stick with the intended color palette of the design. All right, so here we have the design is finished. Like I said, I left the stabilizer intact. It is fused to the wrong side of the cotton fabric. So then you need to begin the piecing. And just choose a cute little heart fabric or chocolate themed fabric and sew with wrong sides together to create a little border, right, around your center panel. And then, like I said earlier, we're going to construct this kind of like making a pillowcase or pillow covering. So you cut your backing to fit the front, and then with right sides together, sew the perimeter. I believe I used maybe a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You could go a little bit smaller if you want. And then make sure before you turn it right side out to clip your corners. That's going to give you some really nice, precise corner points. So clip your corners, then turn it right side out through the opening that you created. And here's my opening. You can see after I do that, I make sure to fold my opening towards the wrong side, and it'll kind of naturally go there once you turn it right side out. I forgot to mention, I do have a layer of batting in there. Okay, so all the instructions for this are on the blog post that I linked to in the description of today's post. So if I'm confusing any of you because I'm leaving things out, you can get all the instructions over there. So here's my opening. I just pressed the opening seam allowances toward the wrong side, so they would be tucked in nicely. And then I just hand sewed that opening shut. Now, you can see I'm using the Clover Wonder Clips. Gotta love those. Give me a thumbs up or something if you guys use these. I am pretty much using them for everything now. I've got an in progress bag. Cannot wait to show you guys that one. And quilts, table runners, pillows. I mean, I'm using these for everything. And we have them at sulky.com. So you can add those to your order if you're grabbing up that Keepsake Key Fob kit for our free webcast in February. Just go ahead and add those to your order. Make sure that you have those because they're great, great little tools. And also for construction, I used the Sulky 50 weight cotton and steel thread. This is my favorite thread to piece with. And really for general construction as well, I like to use it. And the reason I like to use this for piecing is it's 50 weight, right? So it's a little bit lighter weight than what your traditional sort of all-purpose thread would be. So when you are piecing and pressing open your seams or pressing them to one side, in this case, I pressed them to the darker fabric so that you wouldn't see the seam allowance along this lighter pink. When you press your seams open or to one side, you don't have that little telltale bump of thread that you might get with a little bit heavier weight thread. So I absolutely love using the 50 weight when I'm doing piecing projects. I also use that to close up my opening here in this photo. So just do a little slip stitch or catch stitch, a slip stitch or some sort of invisible stitch like a ladder stitch, and just hand sew that opening shut. And then I gave it a little bit of a press from the wrong side. I don't like to touch the iron to my finished embroideries ever. I always will iron from the wrong side. In this case, we've got that soft and sheer extra adhered to that middle panel. So I pressed the whole thing from the back as opposed to trying to iron it or press it from the front side. That way I don't have, if my iron's too hot or something, it's not going to affect my stabilizer that is still intact. So give it a good press from the wrong side with a little bit of steam, and then I did my top stitching. And that's where I got what I'm kind of calling my faux binding is I've got a little bit of batting in here, so it kind of puffs up the edge, and I just really like that look. And then I didn't have to add any sort of quilt binding to it, but you could certainly do this the traditional way. You can add more quilting to it, and instead of constructing it like a pillow or a turned out quilt, you can construct this like you would a traditional quilt. Do your quilt sandwich, add more quilting to the outside, and then bind it as you would a quilt. All right, so just like that, you have your finished project. Really, really simple to do. You can definitely get this one done in time for Valentine's Day. This would make a really cute gift. If you have any teachers that you want to surprise, or even healthcare workers, my mom works for an Alzheimer's facility, and they just are really loving the love right now. And I can't think of something better than something handmade that they can maybe put out in their lobby, package it up with a box of chocolates, and that would be something really, really kind and nice to do. So there is the finished project. Nice out on the table, and you can see the little faux binding technique. It really kind of pops. And you could even add concentric lines and do more quilting that way, and come in a little closer to your heart, do some outline quilting, something like that. So have fun with it. This is really just inspiration and my method, and you all put your twist on it and have fun with it. So, all right, I'm going to see if there are any questions coming in. Susan is asking, do I use a felt pressing mat? So I have in the past. I don't happen to have one right now. We do have them at sulky.com, and I can't wait to get my hands on one. I love using a felt or a wool pressing mat because you're really pressing the right side along with the wrong side. So when you're doing a lot of piecing projects and you use that wool pressing mat and you give it a little steam, you're really getting both sides pressed nicely. So it's cutting your pressing time in half. So I guess my answer to that question is I would if I could, and I will soon because I think it's a great, great tool. Okay. Oh, Kay says, I learned the hard way about pressing embroidery with a hot iron. Yes, if your iron is too hot, you can melt those fibers, those threads together. So you really need to be careful. Also, you can kind of lose that sheen of the thread if you iron too vigorously over it. And there are some specialty threads that cannot tolerate an iron at all. If you've ever used the sulky glowy thread, you cannot touch that thread to your iron. The thread will basically melt altogether. So you need to be really, really mindful of that. So just as a precaution, I stay away from my finished embroidery with the iron. I will iron around it. I will iron from the wrong side. Use a press cloth if you must iron over it. But I really just, as a general rule, stay totally clear of my finished embroideries. So, Stu was asking, where are the instructions for the table runner? Yes, so they're in a blog post in the description of today's live post. You might have to click see more and you'll see table runner how-tos. You can go on over to the blog post, and if you do want to print them out, scroll all the way down and you'll see an option for sharing the post or printing the post. So you'll just hit print the post and you'll get a printer-friendly version of it that you can print out and save for future reference. So, and Wendy's asking, where do we get the chocolate lovers design? So it's in that blog post I was just talking about. You'll head on over and in the supply list, it will say, grab this design for free for a limited time. So that's where you can get your freebie design. Grab it before it expires. All right. Okay, David is asking, is the cotton and steel 100% cotton? It is 100% cotton. It is a long staple, high quality cotton thread. I think you'll really, really love working with it. I fell in love with it the first time I sewed with it. It is Egyptian cotton. It is just super high quality thread. Not to mention it comes on cute little colored spools. Who doesn't love that? All right. Again, I want to reiterate for all of you who are just now joining, our freebie today for one lucky winner who is commenting, asking questions, liking, loving, engaging with the post today, sharing the post. You are eligible to win our machine embroidery I Heart You palette. So this is available at sulky.com. It's all these beautiful rayon and metallic colors that will get you through a bunch of Valentine projects, which is coming up here fast and furious. It's always funny to me when right before Christmas now, it seems, they're getting the Valentine cards and sweets and stuff on the store shelves already. And we're like, isn't Christmas tomorrow? So things are just happening sooner and sooner and sooner. But this also comes with these great little heart designs that you can use to customize a lot of different things. All right, so we went over the table runner. I also wanted to show you some other great Valentine projects. So if you love handwork, quilting, machine embroidery, crafting, there's really something for everyone at the Sulky blog, which is blog.sulky.com. Great resource if you're looking for free projects, project inspiration, techniques. You can find it all there. So, okay, let me make sure I've addressed all the questions about the table runner. And Sandra is asking, could it be made as a placemat? Absolutely. Just change the dimensions of the table runner and you can make it into a placemat super easy. This isn't a very large table runner anyways. And like I said, this design comes in a lot of different sizes. You could choose a smaller design and just do narrower strips along each side and easily do it the same way and just make a set of placemats. So very cute. And Sue says, I think I will make this into a pillow. Fantastic. The construction really doesn't change other than stuff it with fiberfill. So great idea. Okay, lots of people loving the wool mat. Now, if you're curious about the wool mat, you can grab one at sulky.com. We have a great quality one there, a wool pressing mat. So those are really great too. Okay. All right, so I think I'm getting to everything. Lots of things coming in really fast, so it's hard to keep up. But if you don't get an answer to your question, you can always email us at info@sulky.com and we will get back to you. We are passionate about making sure you have a great sewing experience and a great experience with Sulky products. So if I do not address your question live here today, definitely send us an email. I will also go through all of these questions because there are a ton today, and I will address these after the live feed as well. So, and Jennifer says, I haven't tried a cross stitch design yet, so looking forward to it. Yeah, it's such a time saver to be able to do cross stitch on your embroidery machine. Last year, springtime, we did a free webinar about making your own espadrilles. Really cute canvasy shoes. I wear mine all the time. They're great kind of house shoes, but you can wear them out too. And we did a version there. We did them with a cross stitch design. We did a version for machine embroidery and a version for handwork. And I will tell you from experience, because I made the samples, that the handwork shoes took me about a month. Now, I was not working on them constantly, but after I finished that first shoe, I felt so accomplished. And then I realized I had to do the other one. And it just, it takes time. But right now, when we are all socially distant, when we are spending more time with our hobbies, which is so great, I can't think of a better time to kind of either reintroduce cross stitch into your life or to pick it up as kind of a newfound hobby, because it's a really great meditative craft. And it's really coming back into focus. There are so many cross stitchers out there with great YouTube channels. We have a YouTube cross stitch video series too. If you head on over to the Sulky YouTube page, you'll find it. We work with a great floss tuber, they're called. Her name is Amanda May, and I love working with her. She's just has such great enthusiasm for the craft. So if you want to do hand cross stitch, definitely look for those resources. But doing it by machine, if you are able and have machine embroidery capabilities, I mean, it just cuts your time by 90%. I mean, not even by half. It's like, the machine's doing most of the work for you. So you can do a really intricate design like this one. I mean, like I said, 70,000 stitches. Can you imagine doing this by hand? Yikes! So glad that we have our machine embroidery capabilities so that we're able to do these beautiful things in a fraction of the time. Not to say I don't like hand cross stitch, because I also do that as well. And hand embroidery is another love. So, okay, I digress. Let me show you some other cute projects that we have on the Sulky blog right now. This is our secret heart pillow. Another great idea for a pillow. Now, this little heart is, you can do a version that's pieced, or you can do a version with just solid color or a print fabric for the entire heart. And it has a zipper in the middle of it, so you can hide little treats or little notes like that, and it's just a really cute little Valentine-y idea. You can also take the pattern for this, and instead of doing a pillow, you can turn this into a wall hanging or something for your front door. Especially in these socially distant times, you could hang this on your front door and tell your friends that you have a little surprise for them inside. And maybe you have little chocolates for the UPS driver or little notes for your friends who stop by. And that would be really, really cute adaptation of this project. So you can find this one on the Sulky blog as well. It's called the Secret Heart Pillow. And actually, if you just search the word heart on the Sulky blog, you'll find so many patterns and different crafts to do and keep you busy, and also decorate and create really cute gifts. So this I thought was another great Valentine-y gift idea, and it gets the kids involved. Speaking of handwork, you can take a piece of art that your kid has done, or your grandkid or niece or nephew, what have you, and turn it into an embroidery design. Now, you can either have them draw directly onto the Sulky Stick and Stitch, which is a great embroidery transfer method as well as stabilizer for handwork, or you can print onto it using something that they've already created. So if you have a printer that does copying, you can put their artwork in the copier and then run your stick and stitch sheet through the printer, copy it directly onto there, and then have them stitch over the lines of their artwork onto a little piece of art for mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, what have you. So really cute idea, and something that really makes a cute keepsake. So you can also find this on the Sulky blog. This is something that we did for Mother's Day, and I thought it was just really appropriate to bring it on back for Valentine's Day as well, because it just makes a really cute gift. Okay, let's see, what else? Oh, I have a couple of quilts I want to show you, and I actually have the samples in here in my sewing room as well, but quite honestly, it's much easier for me to show it to you as a photo because the quilts are rather large. So the first one I want to show you, this is called the I Heart You Quilt. I designed this with a collaboration with Spoonflower, and chose all of these prints for them to create for me. I chose existing designer prints. You can go to spoonflower.com and create your own fabric prints, or choose fabric prints that are already out there from really, really great designers and kind of mix and match and create your own. So this design is a free pattern on our free projects area of sulky.com, and it's really just pieced strips. And you go row by row and piece them together until you have created this heart. And it's kind of funky and a little bit more like modern quilt style. And then I had it quilted with the great Sulky 50 weight cotton thread. You can use this for quilting as well. And the reason I did that was so that the quilting didn't compete with the design of the piecing of the quilt. So it kind of disappears, but you can still see those stitches. All right, it's just that the thread isn't super popping. So love this. The border was quilted in a little heart pattern. The rest of it was quilted sort of so that you could really emphasize the heart. And so really love this quilt. Another quilt we have as a free tutorial on our free projects area of the site is this paper pieced heart quilt. Now, if you like to do foundation paper piecing and you have not tried Sulky Paper Solvy, then I highly suggest you grab some today. Okay, you can print onto the paper solvy, print your patterns directly onto it, and then use the paper solvy while you are foundation paper piecing. And then you can either use a wet cotton swab and run it along your seam lines and lift the paper up, or you can submerge the entire piece. You can leave all of that paper in your quilt while you are quilting it. When you throw it in the washing machine, all of it will dissolve. No more picking out the little pieces of paper from all of those little seams. It is a revelation, okay? So if you like foundation paper piecing, grab up some sulky paper solvy. This is a great project to experiment and try the paper solvy with. There are 2 different heart patterns that come with this. So you can see down here is a little heart that is pieced in a different way from the little strip pieced hearts. So these are simple designs where you can try out the paper solvy, and then you will want to use it for all of your foundation paper piecing, I guarantee you. The other hearts are quilted hearts that were used in a long arm machine, so it's like a digitized design. And those are really cute and add other heart sort of dimension to this quilt. So really, really pretty fabrics by Art Gallery Fabrics for this one. I love using a lot of white in quilts. That really allows the thread to become the star, and you can really, really see all of those paper piece hearts just pop off of that base fabric. So really like this pattern as well. So, all right, I hope that you all liked that inspiration for Valentine's Day. I'm going to go through and make sure that we have addressed all of the questions. So Joanne's looking, Joanne says so many creative ideas. Where to start? I know. What are we going to start with? Start with your free design, because that's only free for a limited time here for the month of February. So, or until the month of February. So start with this, make sure to grab it, get it on a thumb drive, save it to your computer so that you have that while it's free. Okay. Oops, sorry. If you haven't liked the Sulky Facebook page and you make a comment, it's hard for me to pull it up. Or you may have your settings in such a way where I can't add your question to the broadcast. So make sure you go ahead and like the Sulky Facebook page if you happen to see this in a different way. Okay. Debbie is saying, you have so many great things being mentioned. Will you have them all listed at the end of the presentation? So I try to list absolutely everything I'm talking about in the description of the post. So when the live feed ends or while you're watching, you can click on the description of the post. You might have to click the little button that says see more so that the entire description will populate. And there are links for everything I'm talking about today. Sometimes I throw something else in there when I think about it, like the paper solvy. So you may have to go on over to sulky.com. We also try to put them into the comments so that you'll be able to see everything. Nancy's asking, where do I get the heart design? Same thing. So in the description of the post, you'll see the table runner how-tos. Click on over to the blog, and in the supply list, you'll be able to download the heart design that you need in the size that you want and in the format that you need. All right. So yes, starting on the chocolate today. I'll just bring that up for anybody who missed our table runner. So there it is. Also grab up the Ultimate Valentine Polystar thread pack. That's what I use to stitch out my design. But you could also use our I Heart You rayon thread palette, which includes a couple of metallic threads as well. And it includes a bunch of other designs. So you can make things like this tea towel that I showed at the top of today's episode. So lots of different options today. Exactly. Where to start? Where to start? Okay, Yvonne, hope you saw my question. Okay, seeing it now. Do we have to use a top stitch needle with 50 weight thread? Okay, so with the 50 weight thread, you don't have to use a top stitch needle. You could use a quilting needle. You could use a universal needle. Really, the type of needle is going to depend on the technique that you are doing. So an embroidery needle, quilting, universal, but with the 50 weight thread, I use a 70-10 size needle, okay? Or a 70-11, 70-11, 70-10. That's what I recommend for the 50 weight. You need a smaller needle hole for that thinner thread. So you could grab up a quilting assortment. That way you'll have some 90-14s as well as some 70-10s, and you can kind of mix and match your needles based on the thread weight that you're using. All right. Okay, so if you do have questions, make sure to get them in the comments here so that I can address them. Oh, Patrick's already downloaded the design. Fantastic. Waiting for thread from Sulky. Great. Okay. Bernice says, will your printable products work in a laser printer? Yes, they work in a laser or an inkjet printer. I always recommend to set your printer for the draft setting when you are printing on these types of stabilizers, because you do not need a lot of ink saturation for them. You will still be able to see the lines of your patterns, and that way you don't have to kind of wait for the ink to dry or sort of settle into the product, and you kind of save a lot of printer ink as well. So it's twofold, but I always recommend print on the draft setting when you're using paper solvy or stick and stitch or the sticky Fabri-Solvy in your printer. Kathy wants to know, does the KK2000 temporary spray come off of the hoops? So this is an air-soluble product. It dissipates off of your fabric after about 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. If you find that there's residue on your hoop, what has worked for me is using a product like Goo Gone. Okay, so if you've gotten it on your hoop and then kind of touched it or something before it could dissipate, soap and water really isn't going to work that great. I use something like a Goo Gone or an orange oil cleaner and just rub it all around your hoop, and then use soap and water to kind of dry off the Goo Gone product, and then they're good as new. So the other thing you can do is create sort of like a hoop guard if you're spraying something when it's already been hooped. So you can just cut a strip of like cardboard or cardstock and kind of create a ring using that, and then kind of spray within the ring. That way you won't get overspray onto your hoop. And I know Xandra Shaw of Embroider Shop, she has a really great tutorial for creating a hoop guard specifically for this problem. So if you're finding that happens to you a lot, you might want to create one of these hoop guards. Head on over to Embroider Shop. It's SHOPPE, Embroider Shop. And you'll find that tutorial there. So that works. Ooh, Karen says hand sanitizer works to remove spray adhesive overspray, then rinse and dry. Fantastic. I'm definitely going to try that next. Thank you, Karen. Love it. All right. Nancy says, be careful with your auto needle threader. The eye of the needle may be too small for the threading wire. Interesting. Yes, sometimes you cannot use the auto needle threader when you're working with specialty threads. It really just depends on the brand of your machine and how that needle threader was designed. So you may have to manually thread your needle at certain times if you're working with heavier weight thread or textured thread, that type of thing. Okay, Kathy says, is there such a thing as water-soluble sticky stabilizer? There is, and it is called Sticky Fabri-Solvy. It's fantastic and you will love it. You can use it for certain hoopless embroidery techniques when you need to stick an item to stabilizer that's already been hooped if you're unable to hoop it for certain reasons, if there's a pile to the fabric, if there's a super stretchiness to the fabric, like a knit, or if it's just a product that can't be put into the hoop, a collar of a shirt, something like that. So Sticky Fabri-Solvi is the water-soluble version of a sticky-backed stabilizer. The counterpart to that, which is a tearaway version, is the Sulky Sticky Plus. That is a sticky-backed adhesive stabilizer, but that's the tearaway version. So if you want the water-soluble version, you will go with Sticky Fabri-Solvi. And you can buy that in sheets if you want to use it in your printer, or if you just want pre-cut sheets that are 8.5 by 11. It also comes in different sizes in rolls and also by the bolt. So, which is what I use it for, or what I purchase is by the bolt. All right. Okay, Brenda is asking if the I Heart You quilt was free motion quilted. So it actually was computerized from a long armor that I trust with my life, with my quilt life. So it's not free motion. It was all digitized there with her fancy equipment, but you could certainly do free motion if you prefer. So that's why it looks so perfect, and the lines are just perfectly equidistant, because I would not be able to achieve that if I was doing it free motion, for sure. Okay. All right, Tracy has downloaded all the designs, printed out the patterns. She's ready to go. Fantastic. All right. Just making sure we don't have any other questions. So just to reiterate, we've got a great free webcast coming up February 9th. Mark your calendars. Make sure you register and so that you can join us. It's a free webcast. You'll be getting a great freebie design. I should have mentioned that as well. This is our webcast with Designs by Julie, Designs by Juju. Her name is Julie, so sorry about that. And she is providing a free in the hoop, or excuse me, a free freestanding lace little heart design. So another thing that's great for Valentine's Day. And once you register for the webcast, you will have access to download that design for free. If you want it today, great. You can stitch it out in beautiful sulky 40 weight rayon and wash away all of your Solvi stabilizer that you will use to sew out that design. You will need sulky Solvi or ultra Solvi would probably be best. Otherwise, use 2 layers of sulky Solvi to stitch that out. And use the same thread in the bobbin as you would in the needle, and you'll have this really, really pretty freestanding lace heart design. It kind of looks like a pretty little doily. You'll see it when you go to register for the free webcast. So hope you will join us for that. We'll be talking about that some more next week, and I hope Julie will join us on the 9th so you can have access to her. She's just a wealth of knowledge for machine embroidery, and again, I love working with her. So all right. Again, if you are engaging with today's post, meaning you are liking, loving, commenting, asking questions, sharing, you will be eligible for our freebie today, which is our giveaway to one lucky person who is sharing, liking, all that good stuff, for our I Heart You machine embroidery palette. And this is valued at $39.99. You can find it at sulky.com. It's a great little starter for lots of Valentine project inspiration. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. As always, thank you for joining me on So What, and I will see you next week. Next week we will be at a little bit different time just because I have something going on during the day, but for those of you who are always joining us around lunchtime, I appreciate that. Next week we will be at 5 o'clock Eastern time, so mark your calendars for that too, and I hope you can join us then. As always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.